Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, more inconceivable.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, The Princess Bride from 1987.
I'm Emma and I always think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
I'm Anders. When I was your age, television was called books.
So you have read some books?
Define some.
Like between 5 and 10.
Pass. Wait.
Really? You haven't read between 5 and 10 books? Don't you have to do that to pass school? Wait, Anders, did you pass school?
I did. The thing is, if you look at, I have a diploma, okay? I don't need to show it to you to prove it.
A
okay,
diploma
it's
in
somewhere.
what?
It's in kicking skateboards down the road, and also a PhD in chillaxing.
You got a master's in maxing and a PhD in chillaxing.
Yeah, and also I took a couple of lit classes. So yes, I've read books, but outside of school, not too many books. I was more of an outdoor boy than an indoor boy.
What's your favorite book you've ever read?
Well, serious answer or funny answer? You can choose one or the other.
Serious answer.
Go Dog Go.
Okay.
That's a book.
Yeah.
Where are they going? What are they driving to? What will they do when they get there? To the tree. What will they do? Will they work there? Will they play there? No, it's a dog party. They're going to a dog party. I've lost you. It's a philosophical quandary about canine society and what will ultimately be their inevitable and shared future. And the answer is a big old dog party at the top of a tree.
A bunch of dogs sitting around a table playing poker.
And they all have, it's all aces. Everybody wins.
My favourite book, since you asked, is a book called I Am the Messenger by Markus Zusak, which is a very fun book and it's incredibly readable. So if anyone is listening to this and is thinking, God, I wish I read more books, try that one. It's so easy to read, you could read it in an hour. It's great. I also love I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. So those are some of my favourites. Talking of books, let's talk about a film which was based on a book. And that film is
The Princess Bride. Is this a real book or just a book that guy reads to his kid in the movie?
No, it's based on a William Goldman book.
Oh.
It's a real book, yeah.
For real?
Yeah, and even more so, they actually tried to make it quite a few times before they finally made this film. People were trying to make it for quite a long time, but it was seen as quite difficult to adapt. But they did.
What was so hard? You just get Mandy Patinkin, teach him how to sword play, get Andre the Giant, Billy Crystal, Carrie Elwes, Robin Wright Penn, or probably at the time Robin Wright, I'm not sure, Carol Kane, get all the awesome people and put them in this movie. And Fred Savage.
Just do that. Easy.
Well, yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Shall I give you a rundown of this film?
Yes, please. And can you fit as many of the good quotes in as you can as well, at the right points? Thank you.
Okay. The Princess Bride from 1987. This is a movie about a grandpa who reads a story to his grandson. This isn't a kissing book, is it? You're tired, so I'll humor you. This is a book. The story is about true love. True love. This movie is about true love between Wesley and Buttercup. Balqua. Wesley's this young guy. He's like a farmhand. He's in love with Buttercup, but he doesn't have any money. Hey, farm boy, fetch me that pitcher. As you wish. And she knew when he says, as you wish.
Hey, farm boy, fetch me that picture.
Oh, what, farm boy? A close on my rain pen.
All right, farm boy, it's me, Kate Nash, and I want to ask you to fetch me that picture of it.
The cracks in the foundation.
And I know that I should forget, but I can't. Sorry, it's too
You're the
tempting.
dread pirate Roberts, and I miss you. I'm marrying another guy, Humperdinck.
It's too tempting. It's too tempting.
It's too tempting. Wesley wants to marry Buttercup, can't, doesn't have any money. So he goes, it'll be fine. I'm just going to go away for a few years and earn my fortune. And she goes, don't do it. And he goes, I got to. Sorry, but I'll be back. True love in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes away. And then basically instantly everybody thinks he gets killed by a pirate. Wesley, we think he's dead. Buttercup's going to get married to Prince Humperdinck. Wesley's not dead. He's become the Dread Pirate Roberts, okay? They're separated. Then we meet three people who have been hired by the prince: Vicini, played by Wallace Shawn, Fezzik, Andre the Giant, and Mandy Patinkin himself, Inigo Montoya. They've been hired to start a war. Which, side note, when I've watched this movie as a kid, I never really understood the whole wag the dog thing that was going on in this film.
Yeah,
/ book.
I don't think I did either. Yeah,
and it's very interesting. And
it is.
I don't know about the political sort of standing of Gilder and the other place, but like, why you want to start a war? Why you want to start a war, Humperdinck?
Yeah. I mean, I guess probably so that he can have an excuse to fight them. Like, he seems like he's just a fighty sort of guy, doesn't he? He seems like he wants a reason to start the war. And I suppose you could also say, like, because it's a sort of elevated fantasy of medieval life, it's kind of a masculine thing of like, oh, I need to win my glory and earn my role by fighting a war.
Fortune and glory. It's all about fortune and glory. So Humperdinck hires these three people to start this war. One of them's not a really good guy, and that's Vicini. Inconceivable! And the other two, Fezzik and Inigo, good guys. No more rhymes now, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut? Are there rocks ahead? If there are, we'll all be dead. They get in the boat, they take the princess, they go across the ocean, she jumps out and almost gets eaten by the shrieking eels, but then she doesn't, and then they realize they're being followed by some guy. Who's that guy? We don't know. Turns out, it's Wesley, but we don't know yet. Then they get to the Cliffs of Insanity, a.k.a. the Cliffs of Moher on the western coast of Ireland. If you haven't been, you should go. It's absolutely stunning. They reach the coast, and then Fezzik, giant man, somehow climbs the rope freehand whilst holding three other humans on his back, which is amazing. They are almost it's amazing. They're halfway to the top, and then they realize the masked man, he's following up the rope, and which is incredible because who can do that? Well, apparently most people can do this. They get to the top of the rope, they cut the rope, and he looks down and he goes, he didn't fall? No, he didn't fall. The masked man is hanging onto the cliff. Fezzik and Vicini head off, and Inigo Montoya stays to fight the masked man. They have an amazing sword fight. They're both incredible sword fighters. You are incredible. Wesley defeats Inigo, knocks him on the head, walks along, meets Fezzik. Fezzik tries to beat him up. Nope, Wesley's good too. Defeats the giant. Keeps going. Then he comes up to Vicini. Vicini has this whole like, I'm smarter than you thing. Doesn't matter, Wesley poisons him. How did you do it? I'm immune to poison. Then Buttercup goes, you're the worst. You killed the guy I love. And he goes, nope, I am the guy you love, as you wish. And she goes, no way. And then they roll down a hill into the fire swamp, and they almost die in the fire swamp because of the fire and the sinking sand and the ROUSs, but it's fine because they make it through, only to be captured by Humperdinck and all of his men. And then Humperdinck goes, I'm going to kill you. And then the Buttercup says, don't do it. And he goes, okay, fine, I won't kill you, but I am going to marry you, and this guy's got to go. Buttercup leaves, and then Humperdinck goes, nope, I'm taking you into my underground cave under a tree. Six-Fingered Man's gonna use a cool invention that he's made, and he's going to suck a lot of your life away. Then the wedding is going to happen, but don't worry, because Inigo Montoya and Fezzik get back together, and they're like, we gotta find the masked man because he's the guy who can help us. They hear this giant shriek because Wesley is being basically all of his life is being drained away. They go and find him, and then they're like, oh no, he's dead. And then they take him to Miracle Max, and Miracle Max goes, he's mostly dead. And so they bring him back to life with the Miracle Max cure. They go and storm the castle, and they end up freeing the princess. Inigo Montoya meets the Six-Fingered Man. He bleeds a lot because he gets stabbed a lot, but it's fine because he goes, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." And then this is the most amazing scene. It's a big fight, and then right at the end, and he goes, "I'll give you anything you want. Just let me live." And Inigo Montoya goes, "I want my father back, you SOB." And he stabs him, and it's so good, and it made me cry a little bit when I was watching it on the bus. And then they jump out the window onto some white horses, and they ride away, and they have one of the best kisses that ever happened in the history of kisses. And the kid goes, "Can you come back tomorrow and read me the book again?" And Grandpa goes, "As you wish." And we know "as you wish" means "I love you." And it's amazing. And the story is about adventure and pirates and killing people and all sorts of fun stuff too. And it's called The Princess Bride, and I love it. The end.
Wow.
That's like when somebody says, "Hey, can you just do me a little sketch, a little doodle?" And you're like, "Yep. Sit here for 5 hours. I'm painting your portrait." Old school.
Yeah. Or like when somebody says, "Can you just shoot me a quick email with some details about that?"
And you send them
go,
a leather-bound,
"Okay.
a leather-bound proposal.
I hope you're ready for some bedtime reading for the next 3 months, because
I can't help it. The Princess Bride is so awesome, and there's such a cool story to it. This just, you can't reduce it, I don't think.
So you like this film?
Nah, take it or leave it. It's fine.
It's fine.
No, I love The Princess Bride. I've watched this movie so many times. It's just, it's actually inconceivable. I've watched this movie so many times. What about you? Are you a Princess Bride fan?
Yes, I am. I'm a huge fan. I don't have a huge amount of films that I like regularly rewatch. I'd say the Scooby-Doo movie is one.
Right. Jeepers, my glasses.
The film Evolution. I rewatch Muppet Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve every year.
Me too.
I rewatch you as well. I watch The Dark Knight most years on my birthday 'cause it's my favorite film. But yeah, this kind of, I tend to watch films once or twice and then sort of leave it. This film, I would say, is one of the ones I've watched probably every few years at least in my life. I just love it. I just love it.
Why do you think it's so rewatchable?
So I was thinking about this a lot today, and I realize that a lot of the time when we talk about films that have like heavy nostalgia value, my role in this space is to kind of like take it apart, not so much in a good way. So I'm hoping that what I can do today is that same function, but I can deconstruct why it's so good. Hopefully.
Right. Pick it apart, but in a good way.
In a good way. I was thinking about this a lot because I haven't analysed too much before why I like this film so much. I've just enjoyed it. But today I did pay attention and I tried to really think about it. Do you have anything that specifically stands out to you, first of all, that you think it makes sense?
I just think it's a good story, and I think adventure movies are really fun to watch. I think that you get wrapped up in the whole, like, the trip, the traveling around this mystical land, and it's a good mixture of like adventure and it's also funny at times, which is really nice, and the characters are so real and sincere, and who doesn't want to root for two people who have the greatest love of all time to get together despite all obstacles?
Yeah, true. I think definitely one of the things I was thinking about a lot is genre, and I think that's kind of what you were suggesting there as well, which is that explain it nice and plainly just in case it's new to anyone, but genre is basically, it's quite a vague word, but it's used to describe a series of conventions that fit into a specific type of film. So like horror is a genre, comedy is a genre, drama is a genre, and then quite often some of these things cross over, and it's one of those things where it's like you can't necessarily say what it is, but you know what it is when you see it, which is like, it's very. You're talking
about the Supreme Court's definition of pornography,
yeah.
Right? Yes,
exactly.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I believe, said that famously.
The notorious RBG. So it's like when you go into a film with a specific genre, there are certain things that you expect to happen. And when they do happen, it's a very comforting feeling, because it's almost like a guiding hand telling you, you're safe, this is what's happening. Because particularly in a film with an uplifting ending, you want to know that it's going to be okay, and that kind of helps you deal with some of the risk. For example, if you were watching this film and, as you know, the little kid points out, Buttercup and Wesley don't get together at the end, that would feel quite jarring and weird, because it's like, no, that's not right, you know? And sometimes you have films where if the genre doesn't quite hit, you leave it feeling a bit confused, because you're like, I don't really know what to make of that. And so, yeah, the genre is it's a comforting cloak of familiar symbols and moments and ideas and dialogues and styles that make you feel like you know where this is going. And I think this film is such a brilliant exploration of genre, because it's both adhering to very, very visibly and strictly the fantasy adventure genre conventions, but it's also parodying them at the same time really successfully. So you know she's the princess bride, she's got all the right outfit on, she rides the white horse at the end, he's obviously the prince, you know, there's sword fighting and there's a witchy character and there's a forest and a castle and all of these things. We go, yep, that's right, yep, we get this, we know what this is all about, which means that there's less need for explanation in a lot of the time, because you know who they are and you know what they're doing and you get it.
Right.
But because it's a comedy, it's also making fun of, like, one of, you know, the most hilarious moments in this film, which is when they're about to get married and it zooms in on the priest and he goes, marriage.
What brings us together today? One, two.
It's funny because that's not at all what you'd expect to happen. You'd expect him to be very serious and very, you know, have an affected way of speaking that's much more kind of, serious and pretentious and that kind of thing. So for him to speak not like that is hilarious. So that's a moment where you kind of go, oh, that's not what I was expecting. But it's not so much that it takes you out of the story. It's just a moment of comedy. So I definitely think that's one of the things that really makes it special. It's so obviously a magical fantasy fairy story, but it parodies them, that same thing, very well. The other thing which I think makes this really special is something that we've talked about so much on this podcast, and it's something that I usually use as a criticism of the film. If I say it's something that was kind of born in She's All That, with the entrance of Freddie Prinze Jr., I think you might know what I mean.
Are you talking about how we don't get that much backstory of the characters before we meet them? It's just like, you're the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, it's perhaps not so much backstory, but it's character development, I suppose I'm talking about. I think this film does it so brilliantly in a way that other films just don't compete, which is that the characters in this film have a very small amount of facts and things about them, but they're really, really distinguishable and different and memorable. So the character my personal favourite, and probably one of my favourite characters like ever, is obviously Inigo Montoya, because he's so memorable, and it's almost weird that he's there because he's kind of a leading man in a way. Like, he could quite easily have been the one rescuing Buttercup, but he's almost like this extra character, and his storyline kind of has barely anything to do with anything else. It's just happenstance that the guy he's after happens to be there. But his storyline is so clear. He wants revenge on his father. It's all he wants. He's been training his whole life, and it's so important to him that it's done properly, because he feels like his father's life wasn't, you know, it was done improperly, right? So we know about him. He wants revenge for his father. He wants things to be done properly. He values skill and talent and gentlemanliness, and that he has a good heart, which we know from his interactions with, is it Fezzik? I can never say that properly.
Fezzik, yeah.
Fezzik, yeah. Like Chiswick. We know those things about him. We don't really know anything else, but they're so clear and strong and repeated. And And this mantra he has of "My name is Inigo Montoya, you kill my father, prepare to die," which he then repeats towards the end, is so powerful because you think he's dying. Like he says at one point, "I'm sorry, father, I failed," or I couldn't do it. But he repeats this mantra to himself, and it brings him up, and it draws the power of this vengeance back into him, that he's able to then achieve his goal. And that's his self-actualization, which is this term that is always used to say, what brings a character to the end of their arc? What was their goal? What was their need? Do they get it at the end? Yes or no? Right? And he becomes the person he was trying to be. And I just love it. And I think that he's done so well, but the other characters are as well. That Wesley kind of goes from basically somebody who just says 3 words and is in love with Buttercup and that's it, to very interesting, funny, quirky, sarcastic guy who knows about things but still has a hint of ditziness to him. You've got Humperdinck, who's kind of weirdly seems like a bad guy and then turns out to be quite evil and scheming. You've got this lovely relationship between Inigo and Fez I still can't say it. Fezzik. There's all sorts of things. So yeah, it's the way that they play with genre, and it's the character development for me.
The thing that I really like about it, in addition to it being just like a fun adventure movie and the perfect, kind of like what you're saying, the perfect razor's edge between being an adventure film, but with it sort of winking at it and being funny. There's little moments of comedy there that are they're not slapstick. This is not Robin Hood Men in Tights, right? No. But it could have been, and that would have been fine, but it would not have been as beautiful a film, which I think this is a beautiful, wonderful film, even though it has Jim Henson Muppet weird giant rats in it, right? And all sorts of weird, comedy. The other thing I really like about this movie, the cast of this movie is unstoppable. Yeah. Right? And that thing where people started watching Homeland and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's the same guy. The guy from Homeland, the same guy from this movie. And I was like, yeah, that's Mandy Patinkin. Do you not IMDb? It's the same guy. He was younger then, and now he's older and has a beard, and it does not doesn't have a mullet, and it isn't putting on a Spanish accent and holding a sword.
And actors play characters.
Actors play characters. And you got Cary Elwes in this movie, right? And he's like one of my faves. I love him in this movie. I love him in Liar Liar. I love him when he keeps coming back as the art thief from the TV show Psych. I love it. But my favorite thing in terms of actors and people in this film is the real life friendship that was formed between Billy Crystal and Andre the Giant. Are you familiar with this?
A little bit.
So they apparently just clicked on the set of this movie and genuinely became really good friends. And I remember when I learned that and reading into it a lot. And there's a documentary about it, and also Billy Crystal made that movie called My Giant, which was like a story about another person who becomes friends with the giant and the whole their whole friendship. And it was really actually a little bit sad because Andre the Giant famously didn't live very long because he was such a big guy, and there was some health conditions that came with his being so big. And I think I love it when you hear about people who are on a movie together and then they become lifelong friends as a result, through doing something like that. And also Andre the Giant, I know nothing about wrestling, but I know that he was a big deal. That's all. That's all I got to say about that. Wrestling fans, you tell me if I'm wrong, right?
I know some things about wrestling. It's all a performance. I know that much.
Yeah, it's all a lie. But guess what? So is life, right?
So I, unusually for this podcast, have a very strong memory of watching this as a child.
Really?
Film. Yes, I know. Oh, finally, it's my turn.
It's happening.
I get to be the one remembering my past in a good way. Yes, I can't remember how old I was, but I must have been pretty young because, sometimes when you remember things from your childhood and you just know that they're from your childhood because they almost have a kind of haze around them, like a kind of magical, rosy haze of.
Yeah, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me. Yeah.
Sure. Pokemon for me would be the equivalent, I guess, of The bits there, I remember which bits I remember, if that makes sense.
I remember. Yeah. Remember the bits of this September. You remember this parts of this movie. Yeah, I get it. The pieces that are in your mind.
Yes. The number one bit that I remember most clearly is when Buttercup figures out that it's Wesley, not the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he rolls down the hill and goes, "As you wish."
Oh, my sweet
And
Wesley.
I remember going, "What?"
No way!
Which is so funny because now watching it as an adult, it's so incredibly obvious that it's him. But it's so fun that I remember that as a child, finding that a really huge surprise. So
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's so funny. That's great. That's great.
So that's number one. Number two is the fight between Inigo Montoya and Wesley, because
it's so good. It's so good.
Just brilliant. And the way that they're talking to each other, like the fact that he climbs up the hill, Inigo like helps him up onto the thing, and then they sit there and they just chat for a bit, and he's like, "Oh, whenever you're ready, and then we'll have a fight."
Yeah.
And you can just tell straight away that these are two kindred spirits, you know?
Right. When he says, "You're so good, you're so talented, I hate to kill you," and then Wesley goes, "You're so kind, I hate to die."
I hate to die. And it's one of my absolute favourite things in cinema is when you see two characters enter the screen and you instantly tell the relationship between them, and you can instantly tell that they're really, like I said, kindred spirits, right? So another moment that I think I mentioned before was in Grosse Point Blank between...
Yeah, when John Cusack and Minnie Driver.
Yeah, and they just kiss immediately. And then again, the bit later with Dan Aykroyd where they're talking in the cafe, like you just get it straight away, and you go, "Yep, these are people who get each other, and they're on a different level with each other than they are with everyone else in the room." And and it's not necessarily a romantic thing as well. I think that's what's interesting. I don't really see that much chemistry between Buttercup and Wesley in this film, but I don't think you need to, and it almost feels like it's not about that. Like, yes, they get together and that's nice, great, but they don't need to be the most electric couple that have ever existed, because that is elsewhere. And like I said, I love the fact that it's between Wesley and Inigo, because I think it's just so good. It's just so good.
Hot take: the Princess Bride is not the most exciting person in this movie.
Yeah, she kind of doesn't do very much. Like the bit where they're fighting in the forest and she's just sort of watching the rat eat Wesley, and she's like, "Oh, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Hit it!" Hit the rat!
Here's what she does. Miss Wesley dream about the future and fret about her drip of a soon-to-be husband.
What I will say, though, and this is somewhat contradictory to my whole deal, is that she's playing the damsel in distress, and there is the story. There is the version of this movie in which the damsel in distress type is subverted, but it's not this movie, and I'm kind of okay with the fact that it's not this movie, because I think it could have been too much. But what they did do later on, and this is probably going to be extremely controversial, is they did subvert the damsel in distress type in a later film, which I feel like is a sort of slightly parallel universe follow-up to this film.
Okay. Which is?
Shrek?
What?
Have you seen the original Shrek?
Have I seen the original Shrek?
Yeah.
Do I need to show you my Smash Mouth poster? Yes, I've seen Shrek. I'm from the 90s.
Somebody
once told me the world. They did subvert it.
I'm kind of the right age for Shrek. I think maybe just like a few years too old. I think I was probably like 10, I think, when it came out.
Wow.
9 or 10. I actually think it's a really, really good film. I think Shrek 2 is as well. And I think it's overlooked. I think they're all overlooked, not only because it was one of those things where the franchise went on forever, so it just became like Shrek.
Donkey!
Et
cetera.
But also because it's a silly main character and it's a silly title. But I actually think they do quite a lot of clever things in Shrek, and I'm with you. I'm happy to defend it. It's obviously not at the same level as The Princess Bride, but I think like in that film they do subvert the damsel in distress, which is that Fiona kind of very, very actively, and they literally show the other princesses and how she behaves differently, and it's really making the point look what we're doing here, she's subverting that trope. And like I said, I don't think it would have worked to do that in this film, so I'm kind of okay that Buttercup is bland.
Having said that, no, I'm with you. But Buttercup, for her credit, right to her credit, she was really clear the whole time. I don't love you.
Yeah.
I don't really want to marry you. Wesley's going to come and save me.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, then I'm going to take this knife and stab myself, right?
Yeah. And the bit where she goes to the king, "You've always been very kind to me." He gives him a kiss and goes, "What was that for?" He's like, "Well, I am going to go kill myself in my bedroom." So
She kissed me.
And he goes, "Oh, that's nice."
That's nice. Yeah, that is funny. That's funny.
It was very funny.
Ugh, yeah.
But yes, I think that, like, I suppose what I'm saying is this film wasn't massively feminist, but that's fine. I think
It's fun because it wasn't. There were very few women.
It wasn't sexist, I guess.
What?
Or maybe it was a little bit. I don't know.
Mostly, it was
films
mostly
can be
fine.
more than just sexist or not sexist, can't they?
Can I tell you a story about this movie and how it affected my life?
Yes.
So, we're not affected. Did it affect my life? I have a strong memory of this movie, like you, being a part of the furniture for my entire life. Okay.
Yes.
When I think about this movie, I always think about something that was a little bit famous in my class when I was in the 8th grade. Okay.
Okay.
So in the 8th, every year in my elementary school, the 8th grade put on the 8th grade cabaret.
Ooh.
Okay. And it's where children perform. Well, it's where children perform at night in the all-purpose building under the big spotlights for the community. You pay a couple dollars to get in. And I think they use that money to, like, I don't know, buy books
That sounds
for the
fun.
school or something. It is fun, right? And it's a mixture of mostly like 6th grade girls who do gymnastics doing a choreographed dance to a Madonna song, a 5th grade kid who's just learned how to play Feliz Navidad on the like classical guitar, right, with a few wrong notes. Cue the one band in school, right, and they play a cover version of a Weezer song, okay, and occasionally a juggler, if you're lucky, okay?
Ooh.
But when we were in the probably 6th or 7th grade, I remember one of my classmates, shout out to Ivan Maddock if you're listening, I think about this all the time, okay?
Yeah.
Possibly to an unhealthy level. I just remember this so clearly, okay?
Yes.
Ivan Maddock in like the 6th or 7th grade goes up on stage, a one-man act, and does the entire iocane powder scene, playing all the parts.
No way. Oh, that's so cool.
Inhale this, but do not touch. And then he would go to the other chair. I smell nothing. Then he'd jump back to the other chair. What you cannot smell is iocane powder. Odorless, tasteless, and dissolves quickly in liquid. That whole thing.
That's amazing.
And he was like 14 years old.
Wow. Did he do the Wallace Shawn voice?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And there are things in life that I wish I owned that I don't, okay? You know, particular items from my childhood. I wish I still had a mint condition vinyl copy of the Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness that I could look at but never touch. There are, you know, to have. There are certain fancy, rare beers that I have purchased in my earlier days and opened and quaffed without thinking of the repercussions. If I had aged them, where would I be now? Okay. But one of the things that I think is on my forever list of wants and desires is a videotape copy of Ivan Maddock doing all the parts from that 8th grade cabaret scene from The Princess Bride. I honestly have thought about it a couple times a year, every year since, I don't know, when was this? 1995? And what my hope is that there's a mixture of Eat, Pray, Love and a mixture of the internet coming together here, which is if someone out there recorded this on their big over-the-shoulder VHS camcorder, please let me know and shoot us an email at plottwisterspod@gmail.com, because I want to ding dong see that, you know? It's just dawning on me that I could also send a message to Ivan on Facebook or whatever, because he's a human being who's on the internet. I'm going to send him a message on Facebook. That's what I'm going to do. Eat, pray, love.
Are you going to actually do it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. You want me to do it right now?
Do it right now. I need to know the outcome of this.
You say something smart on this, the podcast about film or whatever, and I'm going to send my classmate a message about this movie. Hey friends, you're listening to this podcast. That's neat and we love it. If you like this podcast, we'd love you to share it with your friends on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, word of mouth. Write a letter to your grandma. Write it on chalk on your pavement outside your house. Whatever you would like to do, just share this podcast with a friend. Hey, so Emma,
That's me.
I think I have an idea. I was about to say great idea, but actually,
let's not hype it up too much. Just in case.
Let's set our expectations to reasonable. I think I have an idea of how we can twist this movie. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, you're familiar with the concept of spin-offs, yes?
Yes.
Like, give me a couple of examples of spin-offs,
Frasier.
just so I know. Frasier, which spun off from?
Cheers.
Correct, right? Nailed it. All right.
Joey.
Joey. Season
Spin
1.
off of Friends.
Best one ever. Best season of Friends, season 1 of Joey. People don't know that.
Yeah.
Right. So clearly you're a subject matter expert. That's great, because I was thinking that rather than twisting this movie into a different movie, what if we could think about a couple of spin-off TV shows that could come from this movie?
That sounds great.
Idea number 1. It's like a reality game show where you have to race to Gilder, okay?
See, when I think of a spin-off of a fantasy adventure show, the first thing I think is game show.
No. Yes, so do I. That's why it's the first on my list.
Okay. Glad that we set those expectations to reasonable. Carry on.
We'll do other ones that are a little bit more, character driven. But this one is this is where we make the money, okay?
Right.
It's a low investment, but it's a high income.
This is the problem with me. I'm never thinking about the money enough with these ideas that we come up with.
Such an artist. We get it. You're a purist.
Yeah.
While you're chiseling the Mona Lisa or whatever, right?
Which
with
is
brushes.
a sculpture, as we all know. Yep.
We're out here making cold, hard cash.
Yes.
Okay? Idea number 1. Race to Gilder, okay? Or run to Gilder. Or it's called the Gilder Girls, right? And the idea is it's
like an obstacle course.
It's an obstacle course. It's like that one where you have to fold your body into a triangle or whatever to get through the wall.
Yeah.
I think it's
Squid
called
Game.
Triangle Squid Game. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it's a 100-meter swim through eel-infested waters. If you get eaten, sorry, bro, you're out of this game.
Yeah.
Right? You come to shore, you have to climb the cliffs of insanity.
Wow.
Right? Get to the top, you have to sword fight some dude with a sword. And he's from Spain and he's really good at sword fighting.
Yeah.
You get through him.
Amazing hair. Yep.
Totally. Get through him, gotta fight a giant. Get through him, battle of wits. Get through him, you win, I guess.
Yeah. You have to roll down the hill first.
Roll down the hill and say as you wish, and that's when the credits roll. And that's the game. That's idea number
great.
1.
Yeah, it's like
Did you like it?
Takeshi's Castle, Squid Game Season 2.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a fun thing about my childhood, seeing as we're talking about childhood things today?
For sure.
There was a British television programme on CBBC.
Was it that one where that kid gets shot in the eye and with his paintball and then he doesn't know how to see anymore? And he's like, why, my eyes, man. I can't see, man. I'm blind, you know. That one? Was it that one?
Yeah. Spot on.
Grover Cleveland. What was it called? Grover Road? Bisley Park? Anton Deck?
What? Oh, are you talking about
Biker Grove?
Biker Grove.
Biker Grove.
Biter Grove.
Biter Grove, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, what about your childhood and how does it relate?
It was called Raven.
That's So Raven, that one?
No, that's American.
Oh,
I think it might still be going, but it was Raven, and it was it's this Scottish guy called Ian Raven, and he was a raven. He would fly in, he would turn up. There were kids there. They would dress like warriors, like Viking warriors or something, and they would have to do trials, like warrior trials. Like, and they were always really cool. So things like, you would have, it was in a big forest, and they'd have a path on the ground, and you'd have to spell out the word, solve a riddle and spell out a word by standing on the letters. And then you got to go through a portal, and you won these golden rings. And then the last challenge was always called the Way of the Warrior.
The Way of the
and
Warrior.
If you wanted to do the Way of the Warrior, and it was like this proper, like, medieval assault course with like slicing blades and stuff.
Jeez.
It was the coolest thing ever. There was also another one called Jungle Run, which was similar, but you were in a forest, in a jungle, and you had to get these monkey statues, and you had to go to this temple. I always wanted to be on a show like that so badly. 50-50, that was another one. That was all inflatable assault course. It was a big thing for like millennium kids.
This is what I'm saying.
Assault course based TV shows. So good.
This is why this Race to Gilder is such a good idea. People will watch it, and they'll be nostalgic about The Princess Bride. Do you want to hear another idea?
Yes.
Miracle Max's Magic Kitchen. Right? It's a TV show about Miracle Max and his wife.
All the miracles he has to do.
And he has to keep doing miracles. People, it's a sitcom, and people come to his house every episode, and they present a new miracle that needs to be done, and he and his funny wife have to do these miracles.
And they're just this like New York comedy duo, but in like a magical forest surrounded by British people. And then they could go into the backstory of why he fell out of with the prince as well, but also his like kind of slightly moral grey area that he has this strange code around when he chooses to offer a miracle or when he doesn't. And what that's all about.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And maybe they've got like really good friends who are on the Brute Squad that live across the street, and they come over for dinner parties and stuff. Maybe Miracle Max has to pretend that he's a regular guy who's on the Brute Squad, but he actually is a miracle guy, so he's hiding the fact that he does miracles. And then, hijinks ensues.
Well, he's not a miracle guy at all, and he doesn't do miracles. He's just really lucky and intelligent, and every time has to be like, somebody's like, I need this miracle, and he's like, oh, okay, I've got to find out. He's more like a magician, like a what's the word? Like an illusionist, and he comes up with some kind of illusion to make people think that he does miracles. Maybe he does that like once or twice to get out of a sticky spot, but then everyone starts talking about how he works miracles, and he's like, okay, I guess this is a thing I have to do now.
You realize that you were describing the TBS comedy Psych, right? And that is Sean Spencer, right? Sean Spencer is Miracle Max. In that TV show, he pretends to be a psychic because he's not a psychic. He's just really smart. And then he has to keep pretending that he's a psychic, but he can just see the like obvious people who did the murder. This
is the thing, you see, everything's already been done.
All right.
No original ideas. Come on, something original. Give me something original. New idea.
All right. New idea.
Yeah.
It's like the Muppets, but it's the ROUSs, okay?
We can't do this movie, but the Muppets.
No. It's not a movie.
We've done that too many times.
This is Muppet, the real Muppet. This is like, okay, it's like Sesame Street, but they're all rodents of unusual size in the fire swamp. Okay, so it's like a weird, twisted version of Sesame Street, where the kids learn how to count and how to play along and understand mental health and inclusion, but at the same time, they're big, toothy,
ugly, horrible
rats, right?
Yes, all right.
I don't think I need to tell you anything more about that show.
I
get
it.
The show.
I've got the concept.
It's ROUS's street.
Here's what I want.
Right.
Is my original spin-off movie.
Right.
I think it could be a movie.
Okay. Ooh.
What happened to the previous Dread Pirate Robert?
I know, right? What's happened to all of them?
What happened to all of them? Hey, HBO, primetime drama, 5 seasons.
Dread Pirate
First
Roberts.
season, first Dread Pirate Roberts. Second season, second Dread Pirate Roberts. You get it.
It's like Doctor
Final
Who,
thing.
right? But there's an agreement at the end. It's not like the doctor just changes. It's like, you're the new doctor now. And what happened to the old doctor? And maybe the original Dread Pirate Roberts, who's been living on an island for the last 15 years, wishes he was still a pirate. So maybe he starts a new franchise, and he's the Dread Pirate Bob, right?
Yeah.
Can't be Roberts anymore. And he does an alternate sort of he tries to take over the franchise because actually he realizes that he retired too soon.
Yeah.
Right? And then like 3 of the other Dread Pirate Roberts, they team up together because none of them really wanted to be the Dread Pirate Roberts, but they definitely don't want to lose the legacy.
Yes.
And then new season, look who it is. It's Inigo Montoya. I killed the guy who killed my father. And now I'm going to be the king of the Dread Pirate Roberts, right? Prepare to die.
And the subtitle of the program is, are you ready for this? What's in a name?
Dread Pirate Roberts, what's in a name?
That's so good, right?
I love it. Okay.
It's just all about the world. And it could be so cool because you could have like 5 seasons, and then in like season 4 you could do the kind of weird Star Wars CGI thing of bringing in Cary Elwes for a bit as a young guy.
Why not? You could definitely do it, and he would be on board.
And the whole crew. We need more pirate shows, damn it. Somebody make another pirate TV show. I've done Black Sails. I want a new one, please. Hurry up. So the thing that we do here is that we rate it. We rate the film, and we're going to do that now. So today the scale is Anders, hey, how would you rate this? Rate the
crushing it
on a scale of 1 to 5, dipped in chocolate, miracle cures. How many miracle cures would you rate The Princess Bride?
It's really hard to even think about not giving this movie a 5. Okay. And our scale, we know, is broken. It's about what we like, not whether or not it's a good film. But we also discussed how this is a good film, and we both like it, and also, who cares, right? Who cares? This is a 5 for me. How about you?
Also 5.
Right? It's a 5. This is a 5.
It's a 5. Come on, people. It's a 5. It's so good. Everyone says it's good, but it is. It's
so good. It's so good.
I didn't double screen once watching this film, and I've seen it like 25 times.
Neither did I. I could watch this movie tomorrow.
I came in with the intention of double screening. I had my laptop on my lap, and I didn't even look at it because I was so distracted by this film that I was actually supposed to be paying attention to in the first place.
Thank you, Robert Reiner.
Thank you, Robert Reiner. I didn't get the thing done that I was going to do on my laptop while I was trying to watch this film.
Take that, Mandy Patinkin. You've got my attention.
You got my attention, all right?
Jeez,
I'm a millennial, and you got my attention.
Ugh, you made me want to think about books. You made me want to read a book, for goodness sake.
Goodness sake. Come on.
Ugh. I guess, watching this movie, though, Emma, has kind of brought a question to my mind, and I'd love to ask you that question, if that's okay.
Okay.
Why do you think people wear masks?
Masks? Oh. Well, they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future. Thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have the time.
We'll see you next time.
As you wish. I love you. I do like nerd culture.